Blind Guides Episode 3. Interview with Jeff from pedestriansmatter.org.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Blind Justice Channel. We are continuing our series that we've dubbed Blind Guides, and today we have with us Jeff from pedestriansmatter.org. And Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's really nice to meet you. I've been following your channel for quite a while, and I was really excited when I saw a blinded vet First Amendment auditor.
Yeah, I set out not with that kind of focus or intention, just more the focus of figuring out what was going on in local government and any ways that I could stand up for people that either can't stand up or don't have a voice or don't know how. And
Right.
It kind of morphed over time, and the focus has been for a while on people with disabilities, the ADA, making sure there's compliance, in particular with government sector, public sector entities and buildings and whatnot. So what about you? What kind of stuff do you do? And tell us about your website and what you're into.
Okay, first of all, maybe I'll give you a little background about my vision in that. I always wore glasses, reading glasses all my life. When I was in fourth or fifth grade, I had to wear a patch on one of my lenses for a year. But then I joined the military at 19. I was a yeoman in the Navy for 12 years. And during the time, my vision started getting worse. And by the time I got out, I was using a magnifying glass to read, then I would type. At one point on one of my deployments, I was exposed to a chemical agent that burned my eyes. And now the doctors say they see like little burn scar tissues in my retinas. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that's caused my problem. I was diagnosed with Best disease, which is a juvenile form of macular degeneration, which is hereditary. And I was also diagnosed with advanced glaucoma. I've been legally blind since 1994. I was medically discharged of the military in '89 after a back surgery. I basically, my central vision about the size of my fist in front of my face is just like you say, kaleidoscope. It's just nothing but the pixels are all messed up and jumbled. And then I'm losing a little bit of peripheral on my right. But I've gotten used to it because it's been, since '94 where I've been like this basically.
Yeah. So do you use a lot of like scanning technique, kind of in the military? We were taught like how the eyes work in low vision settings or low visibility, like at night, or you scan back and forth and let the periphery pick up most of what's going on. So do you use that?
And somewhat, actually, what I do is I look a little bit above everything because my center of vision has kind of shifted after so many years because you're so used to changing in how you view things. So I kind of look above everything, and it's like I told you, I even ride a bicycle. Well, I got to the point where at first, I was using my blind cane, and I couldn't ride a bicycle or anything. But then after a while, when I got used to it, I got to the point where I didn't need to use my blind cane in familiar areas. Like
Right.
if I go to some place, like I've been to Amsterdam, I had to have my blind cane out there. It was just so much people going back and forth and whatnot.
Yeah.
When I was going to school, I used a type and speak that helped me taking notes. I also used what was called a low vision enhancement system. It was like a big virtual reality thing you wear on your head where you can zoom in to
Okay.
see the chalkboard. And that got me through college algebra because it was really hard to do algebra without seeing the chalkboard.
I bet. So tell us about your website. Tell us about what you're passionate about.
I started it because back in 2003, the Department of Transportation put street light posts right down the center of the sidewalk on the main road that I live off of, Bee Ridge. And that's a road with no bicycle lane. So it's got a lot of traffic on the sidewalk of bicyclists and pedestrians. And when people complain about it, the Department of Transportation would tell them that they can place the post anywhere on the sidewalk they want, as long as a standard wheelchair can get by the lamppost.
Yeah.
Well, they told that to a newscast back in 2005. But immediately when they said that, I knew they were wrong and they were lying. They're trying to use the ADA to misrepresent it as the sole governing authority in the placement of posts. There'll be a post in the middle of the sidewalk with an empty utility strip right next to it. And it really offends me that they would use the ADA like that. In the mid 90s, I was a little more active in nonprofits. I went to Washington to lobby for the ADA. It's really offensive that they would use it in this manner. And so I tried to expose it for many years. I built the website about it. I could never get anybody to respond to my complaints. And then back in 2014 to 2016, they put in a dozen of what they call pedestrian safety islands. Now, these are unmarked mid-block crosswalks. Basically what it is, they put a wheelchair curb cut on the side of a busy road. I like to tweet out that they like disabled people in Florida so much they give wheelchair users access to jaywalking.
All right, I've run into those like random little ramps in the middle of the road, not at an intersection. And
right.
And even it has some of them have the bumps to indicate like, hey, this is a crossing point. And I've actually used those on occasion, like if I can hear that the traffic's clear, by myself, or I've done it with a person where I've asked like, hey, does this make sense for us to cross right here? And they're like, no, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's weird.
But so I was a yeoman in the Navy. I'm used to looking up regulations and things like that. And so I looked up the regulations for marked versus unmarked mid-block crosswalks. There's federal guidelines to this. Basically, they shouldn't be on multiple lane roads with 45-mile speed limits and with high traffic, like 60,000 people a day going by. So they're way out of line with any of their safety guidelines. And when I started researching this, I started getting Google alerts for Florida pedestrian killed unmarked crosswalk, mid-block crosswalk. I noticed a pattern. That's what I put on my website here. I don't if behind me there's a picture of Jessica and Lilia. Now Jessica was pushing her little baby stroller with Lilia in there on Bayshore Boulevard, come across one of these unmarked mid-block crosswalk curb cuts, was killed, her and her baby. Then a while later, I read about Isabel, a 91-year-old that had a walker. She came across one of these unmarked curb cuts, tried to use it, was killed. And I read about Alexia, Sophia, and Natalie, all school children, same thing. They're being killed in these type of crosswalks. So my next step, I started doing public records requests to the Department of Transportation. I asked them how many people have been killed at these mid-block crosswalks in the last 20 years. They came back and said over 4,500. Now the criteria that I gave them means that all of those people were killed on crosswalks that violate safety guidelines. And they told me they would give me this data if I gave them $7,700 and some dollars. Well, I didn't want to do that. So instead I asked them, tell me how many people have just been killed in the unmarked mid-block crosswalks, which are basically misplaced wheelchair curb cuts. That's the only component.
Right.
And they came back and they said, we've only been tracking this since 2007. Now, since 2007 to 2019, 1,557 people have been killed in these type of crosswalks. And they said, they can give you that data for $2,000 some dollars.
Wow.
And I came back and I said, I don't want the crash report data. I just want the statistics, the data. I want to know, I said, I want to know how many were males and how many were females and how many were adults and children out of both the 4,500 and the 1,557.
Yeah.
Well, they came back and said, okay, I understand this. We can give you this data for $104.17. I said, great. So I sent them the check. They sent me back 150 random image files of crash reports. Absolutely made no sense. That's just their way of covering up. So I'm trying to expose this that,
Now, Jeff, is this specifically for Florida that you've been investigating?
Yeah, everything is what I studied is in Florida because that's where I live. And Florida is the most deadliest state in the nation as far as pedestrians and cyclists, and it's far above other states. Um, and I realized that they run about 25% more pedestrian deaths than other states.
Wow.
Well, about 25% of Florida deaths occur at these crosswalks that are non-safety compliant. And this
Now,
is the reason for it, because of them misrepresenting the ADA.
yeah. So go into that a little bit. Just tell us how. Tell the viewer, the listener, how this is misrepresenting the ADA. How it is ADA fraud.
Well, as far as the street lamppost in the middle of the sidewalk, they're misrepresenting the ADA as the sole governing authority in the placement of utilities. Well, utilities have been governed by FHA, FHWA clear zone standards and above ground utility structure placement standards for a long time, far before the ADA was around.
Right.
And so, they're claiming that the ADA is basically giving them the right to obstruct our sidewalk. Now, that's fraud. Normally, if you have a utilities right-of-way complaint, you would contact the utilities department of your municipality. They would relocate the utility because pedestrians have a right-of-way over utilities.
Yeah.
Now, when the utilities department refers these complaints to the civil rights department in order to misrepresent the ADA, that's called conspiracy to commit fraud.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's crazy. The amount of cover up and just kind of lack of transparency is astounding, and I think people don't quite realize it. I think they want to believe that everything's on the up and up, and that maybe it's just a fluke. It's just a random thing whenever we expose there to be something that's a violation, and they don't realize how far and wide and rampant it actually is.
Right. And the thing is, the Department of Transportation knows that they're violating federal safety standards, but they do it because there's no consequences or penalties.
Right.
And their contractors make millions. But there is consequences and penalties to ADA fraud. That's why I'm asking people from all around the country to file ADA fraud complaints, not compliance complaints, because it's fraud. You don't have to be injured. You don't have to be disabled. You don't have to be from Florida. The ADA is a federal law.
So what's that process?
That process would go to the Department of Justice website, and there's a form for filing a civil rights complaint right on the website, or you can send an email to the FBI at Jacksonville. I've got all that contact information on my website.
Okay, the website again, we're going to say this multiple times in the interview. The website again is
pedestriansmatter.org.
So let's move on with some more of the blind guide series questions. You talked about your vision loss, and are you enrolled with the VA with the low vision or the?
Yeah, I have a VIS coordinator and the VA has been wonderful. They've got me so much stuff. They've got me stuff in the house. I got housing grants. My first piece of equipment was probably my CCTV. It's right behind me here, but it's probably 20 years old now. A 19-inch big box TV under a little tray where you can scan stuff or read stuff. Just basically.
Yeah. Is that a Merlin?
No, I don't know the brand name. It's so old. And back when I went to blind rehab in '94 with the VA,
yeah,
the thing was, if you don't graduate, they're not going to give you the CCTV. And I was a self-appointed recreational director.
Okay.
At that time, I was younger than a lot of the guys, so I took the guys out to the bars just down the road there with the 5 Points where there's a pool hall. And I met a girl in Birmingham, and I called it the blind leading the blind. I would take her elbow. There'd be 4 blind guys lined up behind me taking each other's elbows.
Nice.
And we would go bar hopping like that.
Yeah, literal blind guide. Was that the blind rehab in Augusta, Georgia?
In Birmingham.
In Birmingham. Okay, I think they may have moved to Augusta now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to walk. It was like on the 14th or 15th Street. And every night I'd walk by that church where the children were bound back in the 60s in Birmingham. And it was quite an experience staying there. One thing that happened when I was there, I think it was during my last week, we would go into the west end of Birmingham to visit another blinded vet. I hung out with a couple of guys that worked at the clinic at the VA hospital that were Vietnam vets, and that one guy, he was they called him Doc. He was a corpsman in Vietnam, and he was missing one of his half of his middle or his index finger because he got it bit off in hand-to-hand combat. And
Wow.
I was peacetime when I was in the military. I have the most respect for anyone that ever had to go to battle and whatnot. But anyways, in Birmingham one night, we're on our way back to the clinic, and someone took a shot at us in the pickup truck, and the window went to the back window of the truck and landed in my neck. And luckily, it slowed it down. I was able to pull it out of my neck, and for years I wore it on a chain around my neck.
What was it?
A 38 caliber bullet. Someone shot at us when we were driving around in Birmingham.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like stories like this, I don't think people quite get it. I think people believe that they're generally a good person, and that people in general are generally good people, and they I think it's just so far out of their normal day-to-day life of not dealing with people with visual impairment or blindness, and so they presume that they would be respectful and helpful, and they would use audio cues and describe what they're talking about, and nobody would take advantage of a blind person. Nobody would do something harmful to a blind person, and it's just that's just not the case. Like we've been out walking, and people have thrown drinks out of their trucks at us, and this is before.
Oh, yeah.
This is in areas where we haven't done activism, where we're not like, we're just out walking around as a couple, and they happen to see that it's a blind guy with a cane walking, and it's like, okay, well, let's get this guy. It's crazy.
I've been hit on my bicycle by stuff. I've been hit walking by people throwing stuff. People are just crazy,
Yeah. So the blind rehab and the low vision clinic and the VA are the only places that I've been able really to recommend to people for services with the VA. So let's talk into some of the different aspects of daily life, and like what tools and devices you may use for mobility. You said you use a cane. Is that a long white cane?
Yeah, I've got a white cane with just a normal tip on it that I don't hardly ever use because I really don't go much.
Yeah. Have you tried the rolling ball cane?
Yeah, I've tried it. I do like the
tip?
feel of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does give you a lot more tactile information.
Right. Get more tactile or more auditory.
Right.
It helps with not getting caught on stuff. Like if you're just using like a little static tip, like the little marshmallow tip, then you have to tap that a lot, and that could be handy. Like as far as tapping goes, I think people recognize that more. Hi, neighbor walking by. And okay, what about navigation? I know you said you don't really go out, and do you use any kind of
I actually have a recumbent bicycle that when I started probably the first 5 years. Well, let me go back to this. When I lost my vision, I got out the military. I was having some vision problems. I started smoking marijuana. I was one of them people that did it back in the 70s and whatnot. And I found that it made my eyes feel better.
Yeah.
Fast forward a few years, my dad had got cancer. I moved to Florida to be with my parents, and I went cold turkey and stopped smoking marijuana again. Well, within 3 weeks, I lost the central vision in my right eye. About 3 weeks later, it went out in my left eye. And that's when I went to the VA, and I got diagnosed with advanced glaucoma and macular degeneration. And I said, glaucoma isn't pot good for that? And so I started smoking pot again. And basically, I have not lost any. That was maybe 20 years ago or whatever, and I have not lost hardly any vision since then. The VA is not allowed to issue medical marijuana,
right?
But they got to where they're actually allowed to talk about it now. One of the last times I saw my doctor at the VA, she was kind of surprised how good my eyes were after so many years of having advanced glaucoma. And I said, well, I smoked marijuana for it. She goes, well, that'll work, but you have to smoke it every 3 or 4 hours. And I kind of chuckled and said, well, that's what I've been doing.
Like, well, got to do what you got to do. Nice.
Rather be high and half blind than not high and totally blind.
Yeah. Okay. What about? Let me think. What about in the household? Do you use bump dots for anything? Do you know what a bump dot is?
Yeah, I put the little bumps on like my my audio video receiver, my microwave, anything I can think of, I'll
Yeah.
use that. My main tool I use is just a handheld 10x lighted magnifier. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
when I read, I don't, you can't see this, but I'm holding the magnifier directly in front of my left lens of my eyeglasses, and like I hold whatever I'm reading directly in front of that.
Right.
So I have everything really close to my head.
Sure.
Um, I used to sit at the grocery store in the soup aisle, on the floor Indian style, picking up different soup cans and reading them with my magnifier. And people
Yeah.
would come by and look down at me. I'd like go around.
Have you tried the Seeing AI app for that?
No, but I'm going to. I don't even. I have a Android phone, but
Yeah.
I've tried a couple of the blind related apps. I don't have a lot of good luck with them.
Yeah, I know
Um,
there is a settings a setting you can put in an Android phone. I'm not familiar with it because I have an iPhone, but there is a screen reader setting you can use. But the Seeing AI app is free for both Android and iOS, and there's a um, mode in that app that does like barcode recognition. And so when you're at the store, you can just hold it and keep turning the can or turning the item around, and it'll actually beep. It'll beep faster if once it actually picks up a fragment of the barcode until it actually reads it. So it helps you find the barcode, and then it will read you the product information and all that.
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah, that's real handy. The Seeing AI app. That's just one of the functions it does. It does, it reads currency, like your cash. It tells you what bill you're holding. It can read short text documents, scan documents, and things like that. It's a real handy device. If you can use your phone. Like some places, uh, like I've been running into, aren't allowing me access with my phone, which has all these different assistive tools in it. So, what about reading? How do you read? Do you use magnification or do you use audiobooks?
On my computer, I use Zoom text. I don't use the audio unless I'm have a really long file to read. Um, but I am really into Bard, Library of Congress, downloading books. I've downloaded probably 1,500 books in the last 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
I usually listen to about 2 books a week, almost all nonfiction. Um,
Yeah, so that's
the
Bard, Bard, and it's like you said, it's the library. You say library.
Yeah, the Bard, the library, Bard, BARD, they have a free app now and for
Yeah.
both Android and iOS. And you can sign up at your local library. If you have any type of difficulty reading, whether it's vision, dyslexia, tired eye, anything, you can sign up for it. And then once you get signed up, with the Library of Congress system, you're able to download books for free, and they got a big selections. They always
Yeah.
have new books coming out. And I just love it.
Yeah, it's really good. I use that. That's one of my many book reading apps that I use. What about in the kitchen? Do you have anything issued by the VA or anything that you use? Any tips or tricks that you use while?
I don't think so, except for the thing I learned a long time ago to put your finger in the edge of the coffee cup when you're full enough so you'll know when it's full.
Right.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of DoorDash,
Right.
having food delivered.
I think there's a product called Glove of Glove, like it's an oven glove, like the whole mitt that you put your hand on, and it's that way you can just grab anything hot just with your hands instead of trying to use a different tool or something. It's pretty handy. There's the liquid level indicator, which basically does the same thing that your finger does, except if you're pouring a drink for a friend or somebody, you don't want to have your finger in their cup.
Right.
It will vibrate whenever it's full.
Yeah.
There's I think Emily on from Fashionista, she said she has a talking scale, like if she's cooking and she wants to portion
I have a
out
talking weight scale for a regular bathroom scale that I got from the VA.
Yeah, for body weight. Yeah, this is like a food
Right.
scale. So there's a food scale one and there's a body weight one. There's talking thermometers, like for like a meat thermometer or making sure your food's the right thing. And there's even talking thermometers for your person too, that you can check your temperature.
Right.
So do you have anything like that as far as Do you have anything to help you with medication, like a medication reader or anything like that?
No, I don't really take a lot of medication, just my eye drops and my the stuff I smoke.
Right.
But I probably my adaptive stuff. Oh, I was talking about the Orcam that you had mentioned
Yeah.
a couple of videos ago. I told my dad about that. He ordered one, and my dad, he's 87 years old. He's up in Durham
Okay.
in a facility, and he said he's not going to wait on the because he's a veteran too.
Yeah.
He said he's not waiting on the VA. He ordered one of those. He just started using it last night, and he loves it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty interesting device. It clips to the side of your glasses. It reads text to you. It can identify colors. It can do all kinds of things. They keep updating it to make it more and more user friendly. And I think the newest versions of them have what is it, Bluetooth? I think the early ones didn't have that. So it's a pretty cool wearable camera that's issued by the VA. It's just like you said, it takes them a while to get something like that. So that's pretty neat.
And it's too bad that, with like what you were working on, trying to get, access devices video for blind people in the courtrooms and that.
Yeah.
Like what I had said about when I sent you those video sunglasses, my idea was that like when you were standing outside the court and they took away your camera, the aesthetics, if they make you take off your glasses and then you put on a blind mask or a sleep mask or a blindfold,
well,
just the aesthetics of that would have made it look. I mean,
Jeff,
there's really no difference whether you're holding a camera there or if it's over your.
They did that anyway, Jeff. They did that on the 23rd when I went to court. They made me take my hat off, my glasses off, and I put my scarf, around my eyes to protect from the light, and continue to do like the security checkpoint with them. I understand, like, you were trying to make sure I could have some form of note taking and have my eye protection, but they are.
And my idea was instead of them charging you with failure to appear, to get a charge for having the camera in the courtroom.
Yeah,
that's a charge you want to fight.
Well, they don't really have much to stand on because I was trying to gain access and they blocked me access.
I just wish you luck with that. They're a bunch of rednecks out there.
Yeah, I know it's a dangerous place we're in.
I'm not gonna. My mom. Actually, my mom passed away January 21st. I think she was one of the first that had this virus. She was already in a facility with my dad, and all of a sudden she got sick real bad. Like in a week, and she was gone. And at the same time, my dad had a respiratory problem that lasted for 3 weeks. And right after that, it was COVID hit everywhere else.
Yeah.
So that was pretty straight. But my dad moved up to Durham, and he wants me to move up there. But I said, I'm not moving to North Carolina unless you get medical marijuana for one thing, and you need a lot better bicycle lanes and and access for pedestrians up there.
Yeah, well, Durham and Raleigh have decent bicycle access and pedestrian access, but yeah, there's a whole lot of issues here in North Carolina with transparency, and their Open Records Act is very draconian and tyrannical. It's not like Florida's Sunshine Law. So
but when they don't do what they're supposed to do, they just send you image files or something you didn't ask for. It's just crazy. That's another thing I wanted to mention about that people don't realize, where when I found out that on the average 130 people a month are being killed in Florida at misplaced curb cuts. That's about 10 people a month.
Yeah.
That's twice as many people that are killed by the police every year in Florida. In Florida, about 62 people are killed by the police. Well, 130 are killed in misplaced curb cuts, but people aren't aware of the data and of things like this that are happening.
Well, I'm glad that you're trying to raise awareness. Hopefully this interview will let people know that this is a problem, and it's not just in Florida. I'm pretty sure it's all over the place.
Right.
Let's go back to other assistive devices that you use. Let's see. We covered some day-to-day stuff. Do you use?
I carry a bright flashlight with me when I walk.
Okay.
That helps a lot. I don't have a guide dog, but I used to have a couple of dogs in the past. And I think I had a Rottweiler, and for a while I had a big white wolf. And
Yeah.
it's like people get the hell out of your way when you're walking in one of those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been wanting a Native American Indian dog that, or Native American wolf dog, I think is what it is called, right?
American Indian dog.
Yeah.
It's a wolf dog.
Yeah. But it's like a wolf hybrid, and it's,
Yeah, that's what I had.
yeah.
I had it was 75% Timberwolf, and the rest was Malamute, I think, 25% Malamute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where were we on our questions?
Yeah, a little bit of sure about navigation.
Yeah, navigation. You said you don't use anything for that. You just use what your phone does, or do you practically know where you're going anywhere?
Yeah, and I don't really go a lot of places. The big thing for navigation is when I started riding a bicycle again. I mean, at first I would ride a regular sit-up bicycle, and I kept hitting my head on low-hanging branches. I wouldn't see them fast enough to duck.
Yeah.
And so now I ride a front-wheel drive recumbent bicycle that I put an extra cycle attachment on, where I haul groceries with and stuff.
Nice.
And it's a lot better, you know.
You do your grocery shopping in person by yourself, or do you ask for assistance in the
no,
store?
No, in person by myself. Sometimes I'll have it, delivered, but yeah, I just go by myself. To me, that was like my only before the shutdown. That was my daily activity, was going to the grocery store once a day or the coffee shop, just to get out of the house and whatnot.
Yeah. You use a PC or a Mac for computer access?
Oh, I use a PC. The one on the computer behind me is my old Windows 7 PC.
Okay.
I was really reluctant to go to Windows 10 because of the Zoom text is different.
Yeah.
And but what I'm talking on here is my new Windows 10 laptop I got from the VA, and they're even going to send me a new printer for it. And that's one thing about the VA. If you don't know if you don't ask for something, they'll never get it.
Right.
When I first walked into the VA clinic here at Bay Pines in Florida, my eyes were going bad. I went to the VA. I said, "Hey, I want to see a VA doctor about my eyes." And the guy said, "Well, how old are you?" I said, 34. He goes, "Well, how long you been out?" I said, "A few years." He says, "You're just getting old.
Yeah.
You don't want to see you're just getting old." And it's like, wait a minute. They knew I had bad vision when I was in the military. I'm not
Right.
getting old. And so I go back out to the car where my dad's waiting for me. He drove me. And my dad said, he goes, "Go back in there, tell them that your dad's not going to give you a ride home until you talk to a doctor."
Yeah.
And so I did that. And the guy's like, "Oh, sit down." And then 6 months later, now I got a 100% service connected disability, and I'm set for life.
Yeah. So you have you hear about something, whether it be through somebody like me or through another veteran or word of mouth, or you hear about a different device or tool that you're like, "Oh man, that could help me in my daily life," and then you reach out to your VIS coordinator at the VA and you say, "Hey, I want to try this out. I think this could help me out." And either they'll send somebody to or call somebody may call and do an evaluation over the phone, or they send somebody out to your house to do an eval or ask you to come in. And then basically that's it. Like they say, "Okay, cool. Yeah, this sounds like it's something that you can use. If it's more intricate or needs more training, then you can set up some time for training or go to one of the blind rehab clinics like you went to." And then they decide to purchase it, and it goes through prosthetics, right? And then that gets shipped
Right.
to your house.
That's usually where it slows down in prosthetics.
Yeah. So anything else that you got issued that you use on a daily basis that we haven't asked about? Any kind of other assistive tech?
Not that I can think of.
It can be low. It can be low tech too. So like I have a little thick signature block. It's like a little piece of plastic that has a cutout, like a rectangular cutout. And I just ask if I have to sign something, if I have it with me, ask them to line it up for me.
I've
And
seen
then
those, yeah.
So that's it's kind of like the shape of a credit card. So that's an interesting little low tech device. Any questions?
One more thing about the VA I just thought about.
Yeah.
The VA clinic down here, it's on Bee Bridge Road, the same road that I go up and down. It's right between the grocery store and coffee shop and my home, just like three or four blocks away. And I noticed that there's no pedestrian access to the building. For a pedestrian to go up there, you have to go through the parking lot, where the cars go.
Yeah.
And so I actually sent the email like less than a week ago to the VA, and I've done this before, and they came back and they said, well, we're just leasing the property. We can't do nothing about it. Well, this time, what I did is I sent the public records request. I said, I want to know the person, I want to know the name of the facilities manager at the VA, and I want to know the name of the leaser. I'm going to talk to them both about getting a sidewalk put in here. We can do this. And just yesterday, someone from the VA called me back, and she said, our facility manager and leaser are meeting today about putting the sidewalk in.
Nice.
I'm like, oh my God, success. The first time in 17 years since I've been advocating. You know?
What kind of format, or how do you take notes if you need to take notes or something?
Well, when I was in school, I'd use that Braille and speak device. But basically, I have a big, thick magic marker pen that I use, and I'll write really big stuff with.
Okay.
Even like when I was going to school, I would take my notes with a really big pen, like in class, and then I would go home and I would transfer them, and I would print them out in like a 28 or a 36 font, and I would have all these huge sheets of paper,
Yeah.
and with big notes on it. And once a student said to me, "Well, it's really nice that the disability office does that for you."
Yeah.
They don't do this for me. You know, like you're talking about self-advocating. You have to advocate
Right.
for yourself.
Do you ever use audio notes, or do you see the value in having, audio or video notes available for you to review later?
I do, but not as much as I should. I want to start transferring to do that more. For example, I have a Victor Reader Stream I got from the VA for listening to books. You can take, it's got a recorder on there.
Yeah.
But like one problem is I couldn't figure out how to get it all working and initialized and everything. And so I got to go through and get with their customer support and all that. Sometimes the VA will send you a piece of high-tech equipment, but they won't give you no training on it.
Right. What about self-defense? Do you have any tips or tricks for
what?
self-defense? Self-defense.
Self-defense.
Yeah.
I have a lot of years of anger built up in me. No one wants to mess with me. And I'm only half blind. When I was at blind rehab, there was a guy in the bar I used to take the guys out to, and he come up to me and he says, "You're not like these other blind people. You're faking it. You can see good." And I looked at him. I said, "I tell you what, little guy, I can see good enough to kick your ass if you don't get the hell away from me."
Yeah, it's so interesting, or common, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. There's an interesting aspect to it where people, I don't know, presume the worst, or presume that people with visual impairments can see better than they're
They
communicating.
don't understand that there's middle ground. There's a
Yeah.
lot of space between seeing good and not seeing at all.
Right.
You know?
Right. Do you use, or have you heard of the Be My Eyes app?
I've heard about mostly from you talking about it.
Okay. Yeah, super handy. I think it's available on both iOS and Android. And it's basically you open it up, you start a call, it goes just to a person that can see a visual user, and then they look through your phone camera and help you find whatever it is you're trying to find. So if you're shopping and you don't want to have to like pull out your magnifying glass on all these different cans, you can just pull that up and they can help you find your item. Or if you drop something on the ground, or it's really, really handy.
That is so cool. Things have come so long from back in the day when I wore that big video thing on my head.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, do you use something like that, or would you use like FaceTime or something like this, where it's a one-on-one, or you call somebody in a video conference app to help you find something, or do you not use that?
I haven't used it, but it sounds like something that especially if I lose more vision, I would be using. It almost sounds like it's something I'd like to use just to make friends with.
Yeah.
To say, "Oh, hi," because I'm not married. I was twice widowed before I was 50. I'm
Wow.
62 now.
Wow.
But
Oh, yeah. Do you are you involved with any community for the blind or visually impaired community?
not lately. I used to be in the mid 90s. I taught myself how to design web pages. I designed a web page. At first, it was called Blind Rap. This was back before you can only have 8 letters in a domain name. So it was Blind RAP. That stood for Blind Resumes and Profiles. And I
Okay.
would link to the home pages of other blind people with their resumes and their profiles. That turned into a website called linkable.org, where I linked together people's websites from all different types of disability by type of disability. Um, and actually, I was doing good with that website for a while. I had a sponsor, Allegro Medical, where I was selling medical supplies, advertising. I think I was getting about 60,000 views a month and making about $400 to $500 a month in commissions. But then the website went to a third-party affiliate for their advertising, which changed all the coding, which basically left me out of it.
Yeah.
So I lost my income from that, and then Facebook came around, and people lost interest in my website.
Right.
And but that I did that for a while. I went to Washington and lobbied, when they were trying to get the last of the ADA passed. If I'd like to recommend 2 good documentaries. One is called Crip Camp. That's about the passing of the first part of the ADA, where a bunch of disabled people back in the 60s were protesting. With the Black Panthers actually brought them food and stuff.
Can you
That's
spell that?
excellent. Crip Camp, CRIPCAMP.
Okay.
Crip Camp. Excellent documentary. And then another documentary about the ADA is called The Music Within. And that's about a veteran who helped get the second part of the ADA passed. Those are both excellent documentaries about the ADA, and people should check them out.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Let me think. Where are we? What about recreation? Have you done in the past, or do you do
I told you, medical marijuana.
like visually impaired specific, like any kind of sports or anything that you ever did?
No, I've had people ask me about going to the golfing tournament for the blinded vet, but I never
Yeah.
had one to it. I've never golfed in my life.
Yeah, they have stuff through the the VIS coordinators put out something every year where they try to get blind veterans to do. I think they have a summer camp and a winter camp, like summer sports and winter sports, and
Yeah.
and they teach you how to ski and how to surf and how to do like all these fun stuff that are seasonal, or depends on where you live. But yeah,
I've been
I'm
riding
trying.
my bicycle a lot less because I
Yeah.
actually ran into a little kid one day.
Oh, yeah. I transitioned from driving to bicycling, and when driving became too dangerous, when my vision became so bad, and then just kind of hung up my keys and was bicycling everywhere until I ended up in ditches, hitting low-hanging branches or just running into stuff, and kept bringing the bike home messed up. And then I was like, okay, this is dumb. I'm gonna end up dead because I'm trying to stay independent on a bike. And but it sounds like you figured out a way to make that work for you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and also I have a couple of 7-foot, just about 72-inch TV screens, and I'll put my treadmill or my bicycle on a trainer right in front of it, and so I'll be like riding or running out anywhere in the world. That's really nice.
All right. Do you got anything else, Mr. Justice?
Kind of talked about travel. Do you still do travel?
Yeah. Do you do any more traveling around, or you kind of?
I haven't lately. When I probably about 15 years ago, I got a little traveling bug in me, and I went to Amsterdam for a week. I went to Costa Rica several different weekends. And these are places I always wanted to go in the military, but I never went.
Yeah.
In the military, I was like in Iceland and Sicily and places like that.
Well, did you? I guess I'll follow that. Did you retire from the Navy?
No, after my 12 years, it was a medical discharge after my back surgery.
Uh-huh.
And then I got my service-connected disability for my vision. So that's basically retirement there.
Right. So does that make you available for space safe flights or no?
I think so. I know I can stay at recreational places for the military, the academies and stuff.
Right. Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions we have. Do you have any questions for us or anything else you want to add?
I'd just like to add, if people can please check out pedestriansmatter.org, go to Twitter at ADA Fraud, and you don't have to be injured from Florida or to file a complaint with the Department of Justice. That the ADA is a federal law. We need your help to.
Right.
If enough people complain, they'll do something. That's the only reason they'll do something.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing, I've never met one ADA coordinator or nonprofit worth of crap.
That's kind of been our experience too. It seems like their position as ADA coordinator, where my understanding would be, it would be for them to make sure they can coordinate equal access for somebody with a disability to the services or the goods or whatever entity that they're working for. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like what they actually do is try to protect the entity from actually having to provide equal access or accommodation. That's been my experience. How about you?
Exactly. People think that they're there to help disabled people when they're actually there to protect the corporation against disabled people.
Yeah. Say, oh man, this could be a liability thing. Let's just try to deny this person any way we can and not have to provide access because it's dangerous, because these disabled people, they're dangerous. All right, Jeff.
It's like I lost my credibility when I went legally blind.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Jeff. And do you want to promote anything from your YouTube channel or not?
No, people can just go there. On my YouTube channel, I have a few videos about my website. And there's also a bunch of videos from several years ago where us veterans in the squadron were trying to get the government to retrieve the bodies of people that were left up in Greenland. It took us 30 or 40 years, but we were finally successful.
Okay. And what's that channel? What's the YouTube channel?
I don't even know that. If you go on my website at Pedestrians Matter, just click on the YouTube link.
All right. So again, the website is pedestriansmatter.org.
Right.
Okay. Jeff, thank you again for coming on the channel and appreciate all the engagement that you have with us, emailing us and sending us ideas and the support. And, you keep doing what you're doing. Well, hopefully we can raise some awareness to the issues that you're passionate about. And I think just people are oblivious to it and don't really know that it's an issue. So thanks for everything that you're doing, man.
Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Justice. I appreciate all the hard work you're doing.